Hey guys, so in this video we'll be going through graph transformations. So this topic is essentially about memorizing the rules. So you're going to have different rules in how you can, transform these graphs. So you have to know the rules and you have to understand how to apply them. The rules is pretty easy once you understand it, because essentially what you're doing is you're moving the graph up, down, left, right, or you're stretching it, or you're squeezing it, I guess you can say, right? So what I'll do is I'll show you the rules first, and then I will give you questions on this graph and show you how we can apply those rules to get this graphs. Okay, so these are the graph transformations. There's 7 rules. So what I'll do is I'll just walk you through what these means. Pretty simple. And then I'll give you some questions and I'll show you example-wise how those questions apply and how we can do it. So for the first one, it says f of x plus a, move to the left in x direction. So essentially what we're doing is we're moving this whole graph to the left. So we're moving it by a, right, to the left. So for example, if a was 3, we're moving this graph 3 spaces to the left. That's all it means. Okay, and then the second one, when it says f of x minus a, so you're doing the opposite of minus, so you're going the other way, you're going to the right, you're moving it, by a 3 whatever spaces on the right. So for example, if a was 2, you're going to say you're going to move 2 spaces to the right because it's f of x minus 2, right? And then the third one, f of x plus a, all this means is we're shifting the graph up. So we're going up by a. So for example, if f of x plus 5, that a was 5, we're moving 5 places up. And then for 4, if f of ax in bracket, what we're doing essentially is multiplying the x coordinate by 1 over a. So for example, if I have f of 2x, all I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my x coordinate by a half. Right, so whatever your x coordinate is, so say for example it's 2, you're going to multiply by half. And again, these are going to make sense when I actually show you how in the question, because this is just me walking through, so it might not make sense at all, so just bear with me here. And then a f of x basically means a stretch for number 5. So for example, if a was 5, you're just going to times your y coordinate by 5. And then 6 and 7 is essentially, one is reflection in the x-axis and one is reflection in the y-axis. So take a screenshot of this, or write it down first. I guess I would say, pause the video, write this down. This is very important. Write it down on your notebooks, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give some questions on this and show you how this works. Okay, so here are the questions. What I've done is actually done questions for each of those rules, so you can exactly see how we apply each of those rules. I think that would be the easiest way for you guys to understand this. So if we go for the first one, so you're going to need to sketch each of these graphs, right? So again, I might not have space, so I might have to rub it out. So for the first one, f of x plus 1. So if you look at your rules, what rule do you think this would apply to? Have a look at the rules and see which one would this be, which rule would we use for this one? Now, the rule we'll use for this one is actually the first rule, right? F of x plus a. So what that means is translation, we have to move 1 space to the left. So essentially, if I just have my graph like this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this point as a, and I'm going to be, because obviously this is 0, 0. So I'll put that as origin, and I'm going to label this point b, so you'll understand what points I'm referring to, okay? And then actually, you know what? We'll put point C here, and then we'll make this. So if that's 2, let's say this is 4, 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how ABC moves through these graph transformations. So the first one is we're moving 1 space to the left. So my A point, if I move that to the left, what happens to my x coordinate? That 0 becomes minus 1, right? So my A coordinate is going to, this is going to be minus 1, 0. That is my A. Now the B coordinate is moving also 1 space to the left. So this x coordinate is being moved by 1 down to the left, sorry. So then that's going to be 1 minus 3, right? That's my b. Remember, this is only the x values are changing here, right? Not the y, because we're just moving to the left. And then c is just going to be 3, 0. So your graph is still going to be the same, right? So this is my graph. Again, it's not accurate, but it's a sketch. It's meant to go through these points, by the way, guys. Yeah. So okay, so that's your graph. The graph doesn't change. Okay, it's the points that change. That's what's important. The graph shape always pretty much stays the same. It's just the point that changes. So that's how you do for the first one. Now, if we look at the second one, f of x minus 2, now this one is the second rule, right? Now we're going to move minus 2. So it means we're going to move to the right. Remember, opposite direction, 2 spaces. So your a value here, which is 0, 0, I'm going to move 2 spaces to the right. So again, your x coordinate is going to increase by 2. So my a now is going to become 2, 0. Okay? And now the b, if I move 2 spaces to the right, this x value becomes 4 because I'm adding 2 to it, if you remember, right? So 4 minus 3. And then your c, 2 spaces to the right, which is 6, 0. Okay, so again, your graph, this I'm not gonna even go, oh yeah, okay, cool. Okay, you guys get the gist, right? It's the graph is meant to be the same, but it's meant to go through the points. Okay, so that's your coordinate A, that's coordinate B, and that's coordinate C, 2 spaces to the right. Now for 3, I definitely need to rub this off eventually because I don't think I'll be able to do all the graph. Okay, for 3, now this is f of x plus 1. So this one would be your rule number 3, right? Because you're moving this one space to the top, so up, should I say. So this graph is getting shifted up by one space. So this is where your y value changes, but not your x. So for coordinate A, it's going to go up by 1. So you're going to have now, this is your A. So this is going to be 0, 1. And then your B is going to be 2 minus 2 because it's moving up by 1, right? And then your C is going to be 4, 1, yeah, because it's moving up by 1. So again, your graph is going to be something like this. Okay, again, it is meant to go through the points. Okay, I get that. So obviously when you draw, you guys will have graph paper in the exam, so it should be a bit easier. But that is your graph. But remember, look at the coordinates, right? The coordinates are changing, but the graph shape stays the same. Okay, now if we look at 4, so what I'm going to do is, let me just rub this out. Okay, so for the fourth one now, which is y equals f of half x. This is where a lot of people get confused, but essentially, if you just follow the rule, it's pretty simple. So the half of f of x, if you look, that's rule what? 1, 2, 3, rule 4, right? We're going to multiply the x coordinate by 1 over a. Now my a in here is, what do you guys think a is? Half, right? So my x coordinates, you need to look at your x coordinates. So for my a, the x coordinate is 0, so that's going to stay the same, right? Because your x coordinate, you're going to times it by, that's not going to change. So that a is going to be the same. It's just going to be 0 either way. If you look at b, your x coordinate is 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 times my 1 over a. Now my 1 over a, so my a is half. So you've got to be careful here. So you're going to do 1 over half, right? Because remember your a, let me just write it here, f of half x, this is my a value, right? And the rule says 1 over half. So we're going to do 1 divided by half. So that's the same as saying 2 times 2 because you're flipping it. So it's 4. So that means you're saying you're going to times your x coordinate by 4. So if we look at coordinate b, x is 2. So we're going to times that by 4. So x is going to be 8. And then y does not change, right? So that's my b. And then your c is going to be, so 4 times 4, which is 16. So that's going to be your c. So 16, 0. 0. So that means your quadratic graph is going to be something like this. And that's it. Okay? So again, quadratic shape is the same, but the coordinates are changing. Okay? Now if we look at 6, now this is one way it reflects. So this is where the graph will change in the sense that it will just be it will be reflected in either the x or y axis. So if you look at the rule, f of minus x, that's reflection in the y-axis. So what that means is your mirror line is the y-axis here, right? This is your mirror line. So essentially, we're going to shift this whole graph on this side. So essentially, the a is going to stay the same. So a is still going to be 0, 0. A is still going to be 0, 0. Now this b is going to be moving to to this point, right? Because this is my mirror line. So now this 2 is going to become minus 2. So b is going to be here, minus 2. Sorry, no, yeah, minus 2, and the y is still going to be minus 3. And then the c is going to be moved to the other side, so the 4 becomes now minus 4. So that's going to be minus, c is going to be minus 4, 0. So now if we draw a graph, this is, you guys get it again, right? Apologies, my graph drawing is absolutely rubbish. But again, that's the graph, so it's just meant to go through the origin, again, like a U shape. And that's you reflecting that in the y-axis, right? Now for the number 7, the last one, that is basically f minus f of x. You're going to reflect that in the x-axis. So essentially, what's going to happen is the graph, so your coordinate a, again, that's going to stay the same. So that's going to be 0, 0. And then your coordinate b is going to be reflected up, right, in the x-axis. So b is now going to become here. So now the x stays the same, but it's the y that's changing. So that becomes 3. And then your c, that stays the same because it's the y value is still 0 here, right? So your graph essentially is going to be like that. right? Reflection in the x-axis, because your x-axis is the mirror line. Okay, so that's literally how you do the transformation. Now, this is where what my advice to you guys, and this is what I did, is you're not going to be able to remember all these transformations straight away. Okay, so what you want to do is have the graph transformation next to you when you do these questions. There's nothing wrong with that. If you have the graph transformation next to you, you'll be able to keep seeing which one you have to choose, and automatically you will start remembering. Don't try and put pressure on yourself by trying to remember everything straight away in one go. No, it doesn't work like that. Okay, so have the graph transformation next to you, and then do the question, and then just keep looking. Which one do I use? Which one do I use? That's the way you learn. Okay, so if there's any questions here that you guys didn't understand, just put it down in the comments. Again, I'm more than happy to help you guys out. And what I'll do is I will give you another graph questions for you to try out, and I'll show you the work solutions, and you guys can try that out as well for yourself. Okay guys, so here are the questions. Have a go at these and then play the video back and you can see the work solutions. Right, so for the first one, f of x plus 2, so if we get a graph, so this is going to be a shift 2 spaces to the left, right? So my a coordinate is going to be minus 6, 0, because I'm moving 2 spaces to the left. My b coordinate is going to be minus 4, 0. So b is going to be minus 4, 1, apologies. And my c coordinate is going to be minus 2, 0. So let me just draw the graph first. So that's going to be something like that. And then this coordinate is going to be c, which is minus 2, 0. Okay, that's for the first one. Number 2, f of x minus 3. I think let me use a different color. Might be easier for you guys to see. So this is now moving 3 spaces to the right. So my a coordinate, if I move 3 spaces to the right, is going to become now minus 1, 0. My b coordinate, if I move 3 spaces to the right, is going to become 1 and 1. So 1, 1. And then my c coordinate is going to become 3, 0. So that means your graph, again, is going to be like this, at least going through those 3 points. Okay. The third one is 3f of x. So for that one, we're going to stretch the y coordinates by 3. So essentially my a coordinate, because my y coordinate is 0 for a, that's still going to be the same. And also my c coordinate is still going to be the same because my y is 0, right? So remember, if you're stretching by 3, 3 times 0 is 0. So c is going to be 0, 0. And now the b coordinate, the y coordinate there is 1. So if I times that by 3, it's going to be 3. So my b is now going to become minus 2, 3. So if again we draw a graph, it's going to be something like that. Okay, that's for number 3. Number 4, let me put that here. So that's f of what is that? F of 1/3 x. So what we're going to do, if you remember, we're going to divide that by 1 over a. But my 1 over a, and again, if you can't do that in your head, just write it down. So 1 divided by 1 over my a. So what would that be? 1 over 3, right? So sorry, it's not 1 divided by. So it would be 1 divided by 1 over 3, right? So it's 1 over 8. So that's basically, you're going to 3 because you're timesing it. So essentially, you're going to multiply your x coordinate by 3. So if we look at the a value, so that's going to be minus 4. So if we times that by 3, that's going to be minus 12. So minus 12 is 0. My b coordinate, so x is minus 2, times that by 3, minus 6. So that's minus 6, 1. Remember, y stays the same, right? We're not changing the y value, it's only the x. C is 0, 0, so that's still going to stay 0, 0, because 0 times any number is 0. So my graph is going to be, again, something like that, going through 0, 0, by the way. Okay, so your a coordinate is minus 12, 0, b is minus 6, 1, and c is 0, 0. Okay, number 5, f of x minus 2. So this one is essentially, we're going to move the whole graph 2 spaces down. So my a coordinate is going to be, if I move 2 spaces down, still minus 4, but now my y coordinate changes to minus 2. My b value, minus 2 shouldn't be on the line though, isn't it? It should be a bit down. So let's say it's going to be somewhere here. So that's a, which is minus 4. So let's put here a, which is minus 4, minus 2. And then b, if I move 2 spaces down, so that's going to be minus 1. So it's going to be somewhere here. So that's b, which is minus 2, minus 1. And then your c, you're moving 2 spaces down. So it's going to be somewhere here. Just actually above here, isn't it? So that's going to be 0, minus 2. So my graph is going to be essentially something like that. Okay, because we're moving everything down. Okay, number 6, so that would be f of minus f of x. So minus f of x is reflection in the x-axis. So the x-axis is our mirror line. So what we're going to do is a is going to go on the, well, a is going to stay the same, minus 4, 0, because it doesn't get reflected. C is going to stay the same. C is going to be still 0, 0. And then the B is going to be now reflecting the x-axis, which is coming down. So minus 2 now becomes 2, 1. So my graph essentially now becomes like that. And that is my graph for number 6. Okay? Because x is the mirror line, if you remember. And last one, 7, is minus f of minus x. So that's a reflection in the y-axis. So what we're going to do on this one is, so my a is going to now go to the right hand side, the a coordinate. So that's going to be minus 4. So it's going to be 4, 0. Apologies. That's my a coordinate. Put the a here. My c coordinate is going to stay the same. That doesn't change because it's 0, 0. And then your b coordinate is going to go on the other side. So then that's going to become 2 and 1. Essentially, your graph is going to become like that. Okay, and that's it. That's your a, b, and c. So this is graph transformation. As you can see, if you know the rules, it's easier. You know what to do, right? And this is what I was saying earlier on in the video. Make sure you have the rules next to you as you do these questions, and then it will help you guys out. If this video has helped you out, give this video a big thumbs up. Would really appreciate it. And yeah, I will be coming up with more topics and also exam questions. So, watch out for those, and I'll see you guys on the next one.